Hi everyone, it's Sala here. Today I wanted to talk to you about what's happening on my channel in July. This video is also about constructing this little journal, which I'm going to use for Junk Journal July UK. So, many, or at least some of you, probably know Meg Journals, who hosted Junk Journal July in the past and also Junk Journal January. However, this year she has been changing things up, and she has gone into a completely different setup, and she is not going to host those anymore. However, many people probably felt like there was a gap to fill, and they were looking forward to this month-long event to take a part of. So that is why the vintage pattern and also Happy Stationery, together with the Junk Journal community Chatroom UK, they all together decided that they wanted to host this beautiful event for those that still want to have this month-long thing. Now, there are prompts for every day, but you don't have to follow this on daily basis. You can also just pick the ones that inspire you and take part of it. It's if you want to share your work, you can use this hashtag right here, Junk Journal July UK, which is for the event. If you want to print this for yourself so that you can use the prompts as printed versions, I will link that down below. It's available in Be Happy Stationery's Ko-Fi shop. And I think that's mainly it. I'm going to post my videos for small and favorite supply. They are days 26 and 29, but I will be posting my videos before that, so they will come out on 25 and 28, so day before. There is a YouTube hub. Definitely check that out when I get more information and find the the playlist and all. I will also put them down below so that you can check it out. And if you want to stay around for a little bit longer, I will show you how I put this still very plain, still very roomy journal together. That is what I'm going to do next. Thank you for joining me today. If you want to support my channel, please give this video a thumbs up, perhaps leave a kind comment below, and consider subscribing to my channel. That's the info splash. Now let's get to the main thing, or the work part of this video. The kit that I decided to work with is called Hale Herbology, and it's from Be Happy Stationery. That is the official kit for Junk Journal July UK this year. So I printed out one sheet from that kit, and I also took 2 chipboard pieces and one for the spine. The 2 pieces were significantly bigger than my signatures. That's because I wanted to leave myself some room for tabs and things like that that might poke out from the pages themselves. I realized that the one page that I had decided to use was a little bit small for the journal, so I decided to take in this piece of craft color cardstock, which I'm going to use for the spine. So I'm basically splitting the patterned paper in half, and continuing it with this cardstock. I'm using my big scoreboard as can like help me line up these three pieces. There we go. I just used some glue to put them together. I think the page was perfect. It's plain enough, yet there's plenty of little subtle details in the background. So I thought that was perfect for the cover. I could have just taken another sheet and connected those two together, but I also thought that the different color spine would bring a little bit more interest to the project. Then I took my spine part, the smallest chipboard piece of the three that I had. I really made sure that it was glued properly, as you can see here, especially the edges. I don't want the paper to kind of pull out from the chipboard, especially because I'm gluing it on the cardstock piece. It can take quite a bit of glue. As you could see, I also flipped my piece over to make sure that it was really pressed down properly. I took my T-ruler to help me line up these two pieces. Here comes one of the two bigger chipboard pieces that I'm going to use for the covers, back and front cover. Also using a generous amount of glue. I don't like to use double-sided tape with my spine. I've seen some people do that, but I simply trust my glue a lot more. Plus, I've learned that in time, the double-sided tape can easily show through the paper, kind of. It oils it up in a way, and it might end up looking not so pretty. So, crazy amounts of glue it is for me. I left a bit of a gap between the spine and the covers so that they will be able to fold more easily later on. There you can see me flipping the piece over one more time and really pressing it down. At this point, it's quite important to let your project dry, and because if you don't, the paper might be a little bit damp, and then it might end up ripping more easily. Here I am just pressing the edges of the chipboard, kind of like training the paper and the cardboard so that it folds more easily. But still, when I started folding, I started really carefully. A little by little, I was first folding the longer sides over, like I'm doing here. It's good to take your time, because if you just go on and fold, the paper might end up ripping. Here I realized that I had a little bit too much of paper on the sides, which I wanted to trim off. I'm using the width of the ruler as my guide. I'm definitely going to use those scraps. They are not going to waste. That's what I say about all my scraps, and usually I just end up saving them. I think I should really dive into my scrap pieces at some point and make something with them to get rid of some. After I was done trimming the extra off, I just folded the short edges, and now, like you can see, I'm trimming off the excess or the corners. I'm not going all the way to the corners of the chipboard. I'm leaving like a millimeter or two of space. Here I am drowning my project in glue once again. I think the covers are basically like a spine of the project. If they start failing, the project might not be as fun to work with and so on. So for me, it's really important that they are done well and made to last, basically. I also just with my nail pressed on those corners like you could see me doing there. And as I was gluing down the second long side of this cover piece, I kept an eye on the other one to make sure that if it would start lifting like it did a little bit, I would press it back down. That's what you saw me doing there in the middle of gluing this one down. Sometimes it happens, especially if you are working on the or with the cardboard like I am, the craft piece that I put around the spine. It might lift a little bit, but I just press it back down and eventually the glue sticks. Now that the corners are pressed down properly for both of the longer sides, it's easy to get neat corners. So now when I just press down the shorter sides, I just have to make sure that they are folded really well. One more to go. And once again, after this step, it's important to let it dry properly. If you start folding the covers at this point, the paper just cracks more easily, which is the problem I often have, honestly, because I get impatient. I just want to get going. I cut myself a piece of another sheet from the kit, the Hale Herbology kit. It's a little bit smaller than my spine. I inked around the edges and now I'm just gluing it on top of the inside of my covers, simply to cover the rest of the chipboard and to make it look neat. I was being really precise with the glue, but then I realized that I had a really big area to cover, and if I would just take my time, the first layers of glue would be dry by the time I got to the end, so I sped it up for myself a little bit. I also checked that my cover was the right side up so that I won't glue the inside piece upside down, basically. There we go. And once again, I'm pressing it down really firmly. And after it was dry, not before. I did not do this step while it was still wet. I let it dry completely. I took that ballpoint tool, I have no clue what it's really called, and I pressed on the spots where there was the gaps between the chipboard pieces. so the spots where the cover is supposed to fold, like that. I'm basically scoring where I want it to fold. And once again, I'm not doing anything at once. I'm doing it little by little, giving the paper some time to bend instead of breaking. It's good to be patient. It's not always a virtue of mine, but it's good to be patient. I chose not to bind my signatures in at this point. I think I will do it after I am done working with the journal. But at this point, I'm just wrapping a piece of twine around the cover and each one of the signatures. I realized that I left myself maybe a little bit too little piece of a twine to tie the project with, so I adjusted it a little bit. And then I'm just laying my journal cover and the signatures flat so that it's easier for me to tie the knot. Here you can see me trying to be precise with the knot so that the pieces of twine that I use to wrap around the spine and the covers wouldn't kind of like go over each other. I wanted them to stay neatly. This is not elastic cord. Many people use that for this type of journal, but I don't think it really matters. Here you can see me flipping through the page. You can take pages out and put more in if you want to in this type of journal, which is great. That is one of the reasons why I decided to make journal like this. But as I was doing that, I realized that it was still a little bit too, or not tight enough for my taste. So, because I had only tied one knot on this, or I think I tied two, not sure. Anyway, I was able to open it and just tighten it up a little bit so that it's a little bit sturdier. I'm not sure if I'm going to work actually on the journal or if I'm going to take the pages out and then work with them, but we'll see. Anyhow, here is the finished or constructed journal, let's put it that way, that I'm going to work with this upcoming month. I hope you like my process. If you're a beginner, this is definitely a great way to make your first journal. I want to thank you for taking your time to watch this video. I hope you join me for Junk Journal July UK. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see you next time. Bye for now.